Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the FB4 Daily. It is Wednesday night, and Liverpool have just beaten Genk 4-1 in Belgium in the Champions League. We're going to just go have a look at the lineup that came out just before kickoff. We're going to have a look at the game itself, some performances, some good, some really good, some are okay, not too bad, but we'll have a look over it as we go along. If you have any comments, absolutely throw them into the live chat. Myself and my guest tonight, Keith, will have a look at them as we go. This show, of course, is brought to you by Paddy. It's a bookies, it's a website, it's an app. Odds on Liverpool, specials on Liverpool, football, sport, everything else beyond that. If you gamble, please gamble responsibly. Keith, 4-1 win. You have to be happy.
Oh, it was great game to watch. Some fantastic goals, some great football. I think there's pretty much nothing you can complain about. You know, it's one of those games that sometimes we've gone in the past and been quite conservative, maybe gone with a midfield three that was, you know, more about rigid structure as opposed to just breaking the team down. And when you think that, you know, Salzburg managed to score, I think it was 5 or 6 past them, you know, there was plenty of opportunities for us to be a little bit more open and attacking, and gave, you know, in the end, gave every Liverpool fan what they wanted to see, which was a lot of goals, a lot of chances created, and yeah, it was a great game of football to watch.
Yeah, it was. It was a good game to watch. But just going on the lineup, myself and Damo were on the show last night, and we thought he would go with Milner right back, Lovren, Van Dijk, Robertson. The midfield we actually did come up with. I think we come up with Fabinho, Keita. I don't know if Ox was in there. I think we might have been unsure over whether Milner would be in there if he wasn't at right back, and the front three as it was. So it wasn't a massive surprise for me. Were you happy to see him go with that midfield though, overall, because Fabinho is the sitter, but the other two lads look to get on the ball, play, and impact stuff. You know, Keita very clever on the ball. Oxlade-Chamberlain likes a bit more direct running than you would see from maybe Wijnaldum and Henderson. So were you happy to see that lineup when it came out at 7 o'clock this evening?
I was. It just, you know, I felt tonight was the perfect opportunity to play players that were actually going to play our midfielders who could actually score goals, create chances, and generally, you know, make things happen. You know, no disrespect to Gini Wijnaldum and Jordan Henderson. You know, they're fantastic, and they are going to be playing games regularly this season. I can understand the job that Jurgen Klopp gets them to do in the majority of games, but I just think with Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think their quality in the final thirds or in advancing the ball is at a much higher level than Gini and Henderson. Don't get me wrong, Keita and Ox also have their falls, which we'll probably go on to in a bit. But I was very happy to see us say, let's take the tap off tonight. Let's go for it. And Klopp just let us be free, and it worked. It absolutely worked. I mean, you know, we played some really good stuff, and you know, it just allowed us to be a little bit more fluid. In saying that, of course, you know, at times there were heart attack moments because there was so much space in behind. I felt at one point Liverpool must have had about 8 players or 9 players in and around the box, all trying to score or put a through pass in or something like that. So, you know, it was at times it was a bit hairy when they did play the long ball, but why not? Genk clearly proved that they didn't really have the quality to make those chances count. So, you know, we didn't need to show them respect like we showed Man United respect on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the lineup we're quite happy with. There's loads of comments coming in here. You know, Kate. Let me see. Kate have played very well. Is the overall thoughts coming in here from Centurion amongst others. Nordred felt he had a solid game. LFC Cape Town said Trent to return right back versus Spurs. Milner was caught out. Gomez solidified. I'm not too sure about that. I don't know if I agree with that. I thought Gomez was quite poor when he came on. That's just my opinion on it. But we get on to that a little bit later. Maverick says we might actually have some backup. Naby really needed that run out and was getting stronger and stronger. He did grow into the game. He affected the game a lot more. Neat and tidy in the first half, trying a bit more in the second half, which was fair enough. And he did come out. I thought to see Naby get the full game, I thought was a real positive. Centurion says it was a really good game considering that what we were trying in midfield. Yeah, absolutely. But look, Keith, we got off to a great start, and it's one of those things where when I seen the goal back, when I seen it happen, and I thought good goal. When I seen it back, I thought, you know what, that's what Oxlade-Chamberlain is there for, because Fabinho would probably be looking for a more square pass to a Henderson there, and Henderson would be looking to get, say, a Trent in down the right, or, you know, if he was there tonight, Milner. But if you watch Oxlade-Chamberlain just drifting into that space, Fabinho does really well by pretending he's going to play it square and then pops it into him, and it's a really good finish. Perfect start, Keith.
Absolutely perfect start. And Oxlade-Chamberlain is our most dynamic midfielder at Liverpool. There is no midfielder quite like him. You know, just tonight he reminded us of why at one stage he was being considered one of our best players. You know, only Oxlade-Chamberlain is going to try a shot like that from outside the box. He tried it against Manchester United and he was close a few times. You know, he's willing to get into pockets. And it's almost, you know, when the discussion came on about how we never really replaced Coutinho as the kind of the fourth man, I always thought Oxlade-Chamberlain was growing into that fourth man. You know, there's a stat that went out tonight that said that the last midfielder to score 2 goals for Liverpool was Coutinho. So Oxlade-Chamberlain really gives us that, you know, that extra, I'm going to try something here. I'm going to try a pop. And obviously we'll talk about what he did in a bit. But, you know, that first goal was all Oxlade-Chamberlain. And it's really encouraging to see him fit, firing, and what he's going to bring to the team in terms of goals is going to be a game changer, in my opinion, because that could have been a tight game. We could have gone 0-0 for a while. For us to pop up with a goal out of nowhere like that, only he would be able to provide that.
Yeah, Combs 14 says Ox helps us play a bit more directly. Centurion says the second goal was a peach, but Keita was a standout player for him. Chris Brack says, in reply to Not Red, I think it will be the Champions League final 11. This is for Spurs on Sunday. That midfield works when we have the 3 men up front and the full-backs on the side. Yeah, that's a fair point. Chris Brack says against Villa, it would then look to put in Keita or Chamberlain in midfield, see how it goes. That's a very good point. I think Gini Wijnaldum scored 2 against Barca. So that's that you had.
It was maybe first away game. Then maybe it was an away game.
Okay, something along there.
Maybe I read it wrong.
Okay, Skipper Dog says we go with away game. Yeah, cover our arses. Skipper Dog says great results. Some finishing from the Ox. The midfielders needed goals. Yeah, that's fair enough. But for the rest of the first half, although we did play some lovely football, I thought some of Firmino's touches were outrageous. I thought he was really, really good, and he probably deserved, if not a goal, he deserved an assist anyway. He deserved somebody to finish off something for him, Keith. But for the rest of the first half, I thought we were sloppy in parts, and I hate to say it, but there was too many straight long balls over the back of us that gave them opportunities and gave them encouragement. And I have to look at Lovren for a few of them, because there's one where the player goes through, and I swear to God, Lovren spends more time running, looking at the linesman than actually trying to get back to defend the ball. Was that a bit worrying for you as the half went on? You know, the way they seemed to get at us was just straight balls over the top of Lovren and get after them.
It was a slight concern. I think I thought Liverpool played a really good offside line for the goal itself, and I think it's something that we've been practicing a lot during pre-season, playing that high line, knowing that VAR is now in place, so keeping that high line actually worked in our favour. You know, we can, to a certain extent, I remember exactly what you said. I was thinking to myself, I was like, Lovren seems to be more interested in what the linesman looks like in this flag than he actually tries to stop the player. But at the same time, you could be forgiven in part, in my opinion, for the shape a little bit. I thought there was a lot of space between the midfield and the defence tonight, and I almost felt like Fabinho was, you know, particularly in that first half, was a lone warrior. You know, Chamberlain and Keita, for all their dynamic play in further positions, I didn't feel like they covered defensively that well, and I thought that Robertson and Milner were just going absolutely batshit crazy. So, and that can be forgiven, because if you look at it, you know, Lovren, Milner at right back, Keita, Chamberlain, you know, we haven't played with these players in this system before this season. It's the first time this season, and the first time and probably in some time that all these players have played at the same time. So it was almost a bit of a learning curve as well, they can be forgiven almost for being caught out with that long ball. That would be my opinion. I'd be interested to get yours on that.
Yeah, Centurion says any defensive frailties has come down to a change in midfield. I don't agree. I think it was just, how do I put it? Like, Lovren plays against Leicester and plays really, really well. He has to concentrate. For me, with Lovren, I think he can lose concentration when he feels the game might be a bit too easy, or Liverpool are on top. That's just the impression I get off him.
That's a great point.
That's just the way I see it. There's stages in the game for Lovren where he looks like he's, really on it. He's up against the forward. He's holding them up. He's making good tackles. He's winning stuff in the air. And then Liverpool go through a little area of dominance or a stage of dominance, and he kind of turns off. And instead of doing something at 100%, he might do it at 90%. And that drop off for him is significant. A 10% drop on Van Dijk is not, but on him it is. And I just felt that's the way it was. Like, later on in the game, we talk about their goal. I think that's a prime example of it. But the first half goals, they have a goal disallowed, which is offside. It's as simple as that. I've seen people, Gary Lineker, I think, on BT Sport saying, is it his arm? Is it his armpit? It's his head. Everything. It's the whole half of his body was offside. It was a good header, don't get me wrong. Milner was beaten at the back post, but he's a big, strong lad who heads it in. But it's disallowed. They have a couple of chances, like, straight down the middle of us, as we've discussed. It's something that we have to look at. If we're going to hold that high line, we need to hold it really, really well. And be prepared, like, just anticipating stuff, simple things like that. So it was one of those. But look, we get to half time. Oxlade-Chamberlain has us 1-0 up. I was not nervous. I just thought we could play a little bit better. I wanted to see us play better simply because we had got Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain in the game, and I wanted to see them affected. Second half, we start slightly sloppy, in my opinion. Passes are off a little bit. They start kind of brightly. But Oxlade-Chamberlain makes it 2, Keith, and that's an outrageous goal. That's, like, I'll put it to you this way, and I know it's an easy thing to say, but if Messi does that, or a Coutinho, or a Mesut Ozil, or anybody, Ibrahimovic in his day does something like that, and that's literally everywhere for about a week. That was an outrageous goal, Keith.
Oh, it was ridiculous. It goes to show that Oxlade-Chamberlain can do anything he wants to. Oxlade-Chamberlain, and that's the sad thing about him. As a player, as an English player, he's one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most gifted midfielders that we have. It's the one player that we don't talk about when we're speaking about England. Everyone's talking about, but who's going to come in next? We're going to talk about people like Phil Foden, Harry Winks, and James Maddison, and all these kind of players. We have him. His name is Oxlade-Chamberlain, and he is capable of doing anything he pleases as long as he can be fit and have a run of games. He's consistently said that he is a midfielder and he plays through the middle, and he has proven that at Liverpool. And that goal was absolutely sensational. He pretty much lobbed the keeper on his line. It was just the outside of the boot, the way he caught it. You don't catch anything better than that. And a fine goal. Performance-wise, I thought at times he kind of dipped in and out of the game, if I'm honest. He was sometimes there, sometimes not. He could have imposed himself a little bit better, but I mean, that will do him the world of good for his confidence. Absolutely sensational, and good for him. He's definitely taken a stake and a claim for that 8 role. Definitely taking a claim for the 8 role.
Yeah, the role he'd be looking at would be the role Henderson plays, and I think at the moment, I'm a massive fan of Henderson, and I always have been. Just the person he is, the way he plays, and how selfless he is for this side at times, and you always need someone like that on your side. So I'm a big fan of Henderson. Technically, maybe not the best. Goal scoring, definitely not. But work rate for his team, being selfless in protecting the side and allowed other players to go and express themselves, i.e. Salah. I'm a massive fan. The form Henderson's on at the moment, Oxlade-Chamberlain should be looking at that and going, I have a chance to get in there. But I will say, and a couple of people have the first half, he would have to learn He would have to learn that role where he sits in between Trent and Salah, and you'd have to learn it very, very quickly. It's a very disciplined role you have to play, even though you are looking to express yourself going forward. You have to be absolutely on it defensively and in the shape Liverpool like to have. So it's something he has to look at. Say again?
Could you argue? I mean, look, again, I'll put this out there to you, Gav. I feel like Henderson's almost gone. It's not so much people keep kind of say, "Oh, he's given it," or he's not been scoring. But for me, I get this feeling that he's almost been like he's playing almost like a six-ish role, where he seems to be covering for Salah and covering for Trent Alexander-Arnold a lot more than he's actually getting into forward positions.
100%.
And I argue that when Oxlade-Chamberlain goes playing into that position, how different the dynamics are going to be in terms of the freedom that Salah and Trent are going to be offered. Are they going to be asked to work harder in defensive situations, or is Ox going to have to withdraw some of that quality that makes him so dynamic? Like, for example, what popped him into the place for the first goal when he was in the centre, to cover for Salah, because Salah has a free role. He's allowed to do whatever he wants, doesn't have to defend. So it would be interesting to see, there'll be a lot of calls for Ox to be playing, but actually I think Henderson at times is going to be a safer bet. And against Spurs at the weekend, I reckon Klopp goes with Henderson. Yeah,
I think he will. I agree with you. I don't think for a minute Oxlade-Chamberlain starts against Spurs. Let me see. Northred says we are getting a bit of stick for that Origi banner. I'll get to that towards the end. Maverick says Ox is not quite there yet, but coming along. He definitely needs to impose himself a bit more on the right side, with Salah needs to do more defensively. Yeah, he will have to answer your question or your query, I do think that he would have to curb what he likes to do a little bit more, become a little bit more, I suppose, reserved in his attacking to get into this side. But then again, if you get in, you can build on it, and get that understanding going. And he's probably more explosive than Henderson. He's more of a goal threat than Henderson. But the key thing to this is you cannot leave us exposed. So you'd have to learn that just a little bit. Centurion says, bottom line is Hendo is the weakest member of the team now. Agree or disagree? I don't think there's many weaknesses. I think if you put Oxlade-Chamberlain in that position against a Man City, I think you may be crying out for Henderson next week. That's the way I look at it. Just because of what they do to allow Salah to go and do the business. That's just the way it is. Let me see. Kev O'Sullivan says, Centurion not worth bothering, honest to God, clueless. I don't know what that's about, Kev. You'll need to explain that to me. Let me see. Left hand side gets more cover from Mane. It absolutely does. Mane works a lot harder coming back than Salah does, but that's just the shape we play. But look, Robertson gets to go off, get a bit of a rest. Joe Gomez comes on. I want to have a little chat about Joe Gomez now in a minute, but we make it 3-0. Sadio Mane, and for me, it's the goal of the night. The team goal of the night. It's just like Oxlade-Chamberlain's first goal, Keith, is a good finish. The second one's outrageous. But the third one, the team playing the third one, 2 touches, movement, playing around people, and the finish is exquisite. It's a proper Liverpool goal, isn't it? When you see it, you think that is a proper Liverpool goal.
It's a goal befitting of champions of Europe.
Yeah,
absolutely sensational, and a real marker. I think that goal alone is a real marker to the rest of Europe, just as a reminder that we may not be sorry, my mic like that. It's a marker to the rest of Europe to say, look, defensively we may not be keeping all the clean sheets in the world, but we can score goals like that in an instant. And the movement, the diagonal, and just the angles at times is sensational. The way they play their passes, never in a million years would you even think to be playing those passes in the way they play the passes. From Firmino to Salah, and that ball from Salah over to Mane, the finish by Mane as well. It was just befitting of what Jurgen Klopp has created, and Jurgen Klopp and the whole coaching team. It's befitting of the qualities that those front three possess, and for me, in terms of just a pure football goal, that was probably one of the goals of the night, probably one of the goals of the week, goals of the Champions League week, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was just a brilliant goal. When it goes in, I'm thinking, how has he managed to chip him? How has he managed to get it over him? Because he's so close to him. But it's a really good goal. Like Maverick says, Mane's goal superb, great triangle passing. It really was the movement, and it was just. I just thought it was absolutely brilliant.
It was the front three at their best tonight. I thought it was, even though they, at times, I thought there was some real chemistry, and it's almost to say that how much we missed Salah, because even though Salah was at times quiet tonight, it's just the way that as soon as that ball gets fizzed in, the front three, what they're doing with their movement, how they're dragging defenders left, right, and centre, the touches, that the passing, the choice of passing, that is when they're best. And sometimes when we have sloppy days or we're crying out for that, that's what we mean as Liverpool fans. Is times like that is what really makes them who they are.
Yeah, Centurion says there, my opinion is not polarising. I'm not calling for a Hendo assassination. I'm just saying an opinion. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And all I did, if you Centurion, look, I'll put it to you this way: I'm not disagreeing with you, and I won't disagree with. I'll disagree with people's opinion, but I wouldn't knock down your opinion. That's yours, and everyone is entitled to one. You will never find me. You will never find me knocking down someone's opinion. I just don't. I'll agree and disagree. That's what we're all here for. What I would say is, though, just the last thing on Oxlade-Chamberlain or Henderson, because I think that might be the choice. I think it could be a Wijnaldum or Keita choice on the other side. You'll have to wait and see for certain games. But in certain games, I think Oxlade-Chamberlain could be exposed defensively when we need to be really solid. Having said that, I think Henderson may not give us enough going forward in games where we need to be creative. So you would have to mix them up. One does 60, one does 30. The following week, you switch it around, depending on who you play for. Who has the bigger scope to improve? Oxlade-Chamberlain, because he's a very good professional. He may be a couple of years younger than Jordan Henderson, probably 3 or 4 maybe, but he has the scope to go and attack like he has tonight, to finish like he has tonight, but also learn the role. And if I was Oxlade-Chamberlain, I'd be walking in every day and I'd be watching exactly what Henderson being asked to do and what Henderson is doing in training to learn that role. A bit like young Caoimhin Kelleher, who spends a year watching Alisson and has improved immensely. So it's one of those things. So that's just the way I'd like to see it. But I'd never knock someone's opinion. Everyone's entitled to it. We make it 4. And Keith, we spoke about Salah. Thought he was quiet first half. Couple of chances he may have got in, but they defended him quite well. They snuffed him out quite well. But in fairness, they were really making sure he wasn't getting away, which did lead to room for Firmino in particular. But he gets the fourth. It's a ball in. So he sets up Mane, and everyone's going, oh, he set up Mane, and look, I remember Burnley and all, and you're like, would you ever fuck off? Yeah. And so then what happens is Mane gets it, turns, bang, straight into Salah, holds her up brilliant. Reminded me a bit of the time he done Harry Maguire against Leicester at Anfield, but he's backing in, gets the half turn, looks like he's on his left foot, shifts her onto his right, through 2 defenders, and a good finish with his right foot. Classic Mo Salah again. And you know what? People said Spurs are on, Spurs got over their hump there on last night against Red Star. Do you know what? Our 3 lads looked like this really started to click as that game went on.
I remember when we did the back 4 on Sunday, and I made a point that we missed Salah's hold-up play, and that was a perfect example of it. The ability to be able to hold off men twice his size, have control of the ball, move the ball quickly with his feet, but all the while keeping the ball completely dead, is a skill that is truly a world-class gift that Mo Salah has, for all the pace, for the abilities in the way he shoots and the way he finishes. That ability to be able to fizz the ball to him in a tight space for him to turn, keep the ball within his feet, move it, almost shift everything around. He literally moved the ball almost around the defender. He could have just grabbed the defender, picked him up and moved him to the side. He pretty much did that with his mind, and again, it was just a phenomenal finish. It's just everything that makes him world class. And it's just another proof that you'll get people from time to time, football fans, maybe not even just Liverpool fans, just fans in general, think that Salah has a bad game. Are there others that could potentially take his place? Absolutely not. There's no player in world football who does the things that Salah does. I'm not talking about the galactics of Messi, but generally in world football, there's no one that does what he does. And yeah, Spurs will be very worried because despite the 5-0 victory, they've been very very creaky in defence, and I think Salah, it was great for him to get the game in tonight, get the 90 minutes under his belt, because I think on is it Sunday? Sunday we're playing them. Sunday, I think he's going to be up for it, and he usually is against Spurs at Anfield.
Yeah, I saw the way. And listen, it's just great to see them all playing so well. Mane scores, Salah scores. I thought Firmino was brilliant. I really, really did. So it's good to see them all in that. Listen, if we're going to go with Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson, it's good to see Henderson get a full rest. Wijnaldum plays the last 10 or so. I was a little bit surprised we didn't see Brewster, but I understood where bringing Origi on. I think he used to play for Genk and stuff like that. So yeah, that's fair enough. But we can see the goal, Keith. And before we talk about the goal, Joe Gomez comes on. He plays right back. I'm 100% against it. I don't believe in it. If you're going to take Andy Robertson off, I don't know. Go 3 at the back, make him a centre half, do something like that. Just stop playing him. Stop playing him right back. Going forward, yeah, he looked okay. He released the ball to Mane when he never should have. He should have known Mane was offside. He was all right. He showed great pace to get across the pitch when there was a break for Genk. But the funny thing about that one was he gets there, right? He kicks the ball out of play, and then he lets the player go all the way past him to get the ball, and then decides that he wants to hold up the play. Ends up getting booked instead of just kicking that ball as far as he could into the stand and turning around and getting back into position. I just thought he looked shaky, Lovren or Gomez at times. But look, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't played an awful lot of football. He's come back into a position that I don't think he likes playing in, and I wouldn't have him playing in anyway. But you can't write him off this early, can you? Because I've genuinely seen someone tonight go, listen, for me, Gomez won't make it. Forget about it.
Yeah, I think this is the first time he's had to be put under real pressure, Gav. I think, you got to feel bad for the kid. He cemented that centre-back position last season. Him and Van Dijk were absolutely phenomenal. He's a great player. He hasn't lost his pace, even though he picked up quite a bad injury against Burnley. I still think he's going to become a very, very good defender. But I think at the moment he is under a bit of pressure. He must be frustrated that he can't even get ahead of Dejan Lovren in the side at the moment. It's at his preferred position. He's getting shafted out to the right back position, which, like you said, I don't think is something he feels comfortable with. For what that position demands, in terms of technical ability on the ball, in terms of pace. He just, he's got the pace, but he doesn't really have the end product. And I think it just puts him in situations where he's having to deal in one-on-one situations that he's not very comfortable with. Joe Gomez is a fantastic first line of defence. When a player, say for example, a long ball comes in, or ball gets drilled into the defender, the first person to try and stop that will be Gomez. He'll push forward, press, and allow Van Dijk to tuck in and clean up where necessary. At right back, or at left back, he doesn't get that opportunity. He's got players actually picking up the ball, turning, looking at him, and running at him, and he's not comfortable at that at all, in my opinion. And again, there was times where he tries to apply that same pressing technique that he uses at centre back in a wing back positions, and what happens is more times than not he gets turned out because he's got no one behind him to cover for him, and he's not comfortable in dealing with that particular bit of space. So I personally feel for him, but I still think he has all the quality in the world to eventually make that centre back position his own. He's just got to work hard for it.
Yeah. Comes 14 said Gomez needs the minutes. Chris Brack says Lovren and Gomez issue is a lack of game time, but it's hard to rotate centre-backs. Not convinced Matip will play Sunday. Klopp didn't seem confident about his annoying knee injury. Centurion says learn beside VVD and the ball playing defence system. Maverick says Gomez has to play, I guess, just for continuity. He was all right today. He's only 22, has a lot of improving to do. There's more than one way to play right back position. Yes, but I think Joe Gomez is an absolute nailed on centre back. He's not versatile to be a right back. I don't think he has the I just don't think he has the skill set to be a right back. That's just the way I feel about it. Someone else has said there, I don't mean to keep going on about it, but what about that push on Firmino in the box? Yeah, it was ridiculous. It should have been a penalty. I don't know how Firmino gets up and chases the ball then. That's probably the reason why it wasn't given. But again, you know, I don't know. Is VAR meant to come in there? I don't know. VAR is just mental. Yeah. It's absolutely mental. Look.
That was and one thing that I will say, just quickly on Gomez before we move on, was I read an article on the Athletic. James Pearce wrote about, I think it was James, about the responsibilities of our wing backs and how the responsibility is to be almost, wingers, being technically gifted, to be able to, play a pass, to be able to unlock defences in the way that Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold does. And I think it is unfair that if that's what you're applying for your first choice wing backs, that you should then put a Gomez in that position when that's not his game. So I think, if Klopp is asking for one thing and builds a system for the ability of a particular type of player in that position, to then go and put a player that's not comfortable doing that, I think is, cutting your nose to spite your face, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of those where you just. Maybe he's just getting them back in, giving them the minutes, and that's where he felt he could give them the minutes. I hope that in my eyes, the hopes I have for Gomez is that he does end up dislodging Dejan Lovren as the choice at centre half and be that choice behind Matip and Van Dijk, and eventually become first choice centre back for Liverpool, because he has a brilliant skill set to be a centre back. We seen it last season; he was outstanding before he got injured, outstanding. Like, you were coming off the pitch going, was him or Van Dijk better? You can't give him any more credit than that. That's how good he was, In training, Gomez has Mane and Salah running at him. Not being able to defend one-on-one isn't good enough, says Kevin O'Sullivan. Yeah, I get that, but he probably has him. He probably does have that in training. I don't know what it is. He just looks hesitant. He looks like he's uncomfortable, and he probably doesn't want to play there. I genuinely believe he doesn't want to play there. He done an interview before the season started, and he spoke about two things: trying to win the league and trying to become a centre back and be a regular centre back for Liverpool. It's quite clear he doesn't like playing there. Klopp probably doesn't like playing him there, but he probably has to find minutes for him somewhere, and that's where he come up with. We can see that goal, Keith. And for me, this is one of the stages of Lovren. So we're 4-0 up, everything's great. And what happens? Lovren decides, down on the left-hand side, just kick the ball out. Just kick the ball out, and we turn and we'll face a throw in. No, he tries to be too cute. He loses it. I think Gomez is beaten a bit too easily. And it's a decent finish by the guy who swivels and scores. But it was a bit disappointing, wasn't it, not to keep the clean sheet?
I was very disappointing. I thought tonight was the night we could have done with a clean sheet. If I'm not mistaken, I think we've kept 2 clean sheets all season. Burnley and MK Dons.
All together?
Or in the season.
Jeez, that's
I'm pretty sure it's 2.
Yeah, you could be right. You could be right.
To our listeners, if I'm wrong, 2 clean sheets all season. When all the Ballon d'Ors coming out. We're still heralding what happened last season. It is disappointing, and I think it's just clean sheets breed confidence in terms of our defensive ability. With Dan Lovren, I just never have seen a man so big get knocked off the ball so many times in his career than Dejan Lovren. It almost an identical thing happened. It's not a
physical thing, Keith. It's not a physical thing. It's a mentality thing. It's a mental thing. He's going down that sideline instead of kicking out. He's going to decide that I'm just going to shepherd this and I'm great. He has it in his opinion then that he's great, and he doesn't need to be knocked off the ball. He just loses complete concentration and it's nicked off him, and he falls over then.
I don't know where he gets that confidence to.
Because the team is 4-0 up, and he feels that he's brilliant. That genuinely, that's what it is.
It's crazy.
That's what it is. Well, and then if you watch for the last 4 minutes, right after we concede the goal, he's a mess. He genuinely is a mess. Yeah, he's all over it. He's indecisive. Does he go for it? This front foot defender that he's meant to be. Does he go for it? No, he stands off. Then when he should stand off, he goes in. He becomes a quivering wreck for the last 4 minutes. We're just we're kind of lucky, aren't we, that there was only 4 minutes left. So you know what I mean. It's one of those, and we were 4-1 up. But look, it's just one of those things. He's a good fourth choice, but I don't think he should be third choice. That's how I feel about it.
No, I'll go back to what you said at the beginning. I think if the game is an intense football match, it requires like complete concentration against a team where the goals are going to be minimal and we'll probably win by 1 goal, like we did against Leicester. Then yeah, you're right. He is very front forward, very wins the first header, goes into the challenges, doesn't think. But just to be the weight, just get rid of it. And he does that. Yeah. What he does do that in certain parts of his game. He will just get rid of it. Yes. That is what you are there to do. Just hoof it 10 yards out of the ball. Hoof it off the geezer if you have to go for the deflection, chase it, whatever. But you could. I'd love someone out there, anybody good at using video editor. I'd be very keen to see Lovren's bloopers over the years, and I guarantee that particular moment has happened time and time again. As I said, this has definitely happened. This is the second time it's happened this month. So Lord knows how many times at other times that it's happened for him, and I've got great respect for him because I feel like at times he's very good and he's had some really, really good games for us, but it's stuff like that makes him, in my opinion, fourth choice centre back.
Yeah, but you see, it's the stage of the game and where the game is at when these things happen. You watch it the next time he plays. If we're winning 3-0, Lovren starts doing silly things. If we're drawing 0-0 and we need to win, he's on it. It's like Leicester, that kind of way. It's like Leicester, and he's completely focused, and it's all good. You know the way it's mad. Just watch it the next time. Just for instance, if we're 0-0 or we're 2-0 up or we're 3 or 4-0 up, just watch what he does. It's just a mad thing. I better mention this. Stephen Mack 4-1 came out tonight. The 4-1 that he always tells me to bet on. He didn't even bet on it himself tonight. He's feeling very, very, very bad about it tonight. Don't worry about it, Stephen. Move on. Tomorrow's Thursday. The weekend's nearly here. And it's a bank holiday. So it's a bank holiday here. I don't know about the rest of the world. But look, before we go, Keith, I suppose we're going to have to pick a man of the match. So I'll let you go first.
That's... I think tonight. I think I'm going to go for Firmino. I thought he was just at his absolute best tonight. I thought everything that he touched turned to gold. He was just available for everything. He looked sharp. He got an assist. I saw stats saying since I think 2017, 2018, no player's got more assists in the Champions League. I actually thought that was he must have taken Milner's spot from that. I just thought he was just absolutely sensational. Picked up on the pockets. I'm just watching a little video now that Dinesh Kumar has posted up about all the spots that he picked up tonight, and yeah, he was just absolutely phenomenal. I thought that's the Firmino that is truly, truly best. So Firmino for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think any time we looked incisive in the first half, it was him or Mane that looked like they were going to do something. I know Oxlade-Chamberlain gets the goal, and it's that's incisive in its own right. But I just thought Firmino dropped so deep, turned on it, fed players all night long. He done one touch in the first half, which was outrageous, where I think he rebounded the ball over the defender's leg in order to get it to Mane, who got a bit too ahead of the ball and couldn't get enough touches on it. It was absolutely off the wall. A load of people are shouting now, Oxlade-Chamberlain at me here. Chris Brack says Keita. Stephen Mack says, side note, Lovren makes things fun when he plays. No, he doesn't. And there's nothing fun about what he done there tonight. He should just clear the ball. I don't care if we're 4-0 up. It's a mentality thing. Northred says, Ox. Do you know what? I'm going to agree with Keith and I'm going to go with Firmino. Oxlade-Chamberlain gets 2 great goals. Don't get me wrong. I think he disappeared out of the game from minute 15 to probably when he scored. There is a big lift in his confidence then when he does score. You see him getting on it a little bit deeper. He's turning on it. He's turning away from players. He's looking for a bit more of a progressive pass, stuff like that. It was really good to see him. It was really good to see him just enjoy himself then. I thought it was a really good performance for him, but I'm going to agree with Keith. I'm going to go with Firmino. I just thought first half he was excellent. He was a standout player in a team that looked not disjointed, but just looked a little bit off it. and he was the one that was looking to create and did so on a number of occasions. Second half, I thought he was amazing. Again, doing all bits and pieces all over the place. He slides in Mane. He's involved in the. Sorry, he slides in Salah, who puts in Mane. He sets up Oxlade-Chamberlain for the second goal with the square ball. He should have had a penalty, as someone else says. So I'm going to go with Firmino as well. That's about it. I think we've done enough for tonight. We are back tomorrow night. I think myself, Grizz, and a Spurs fan are going to do a little preview of Liverpool and Spurs. You're going to get 2 previews tomorrow night, actually. I think the COP table are going to record their preview as well. I think I might have to host that as well. So we'll wait and see. But it's been a really good show. Keith, thanks a million for joining me.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And enjoy it. If it's with the Spurs fan, I think it is tomorrow. If it's with who I think it may be, send my regards and tell him that I'm here for him to cry on when we beat them on Sunday.
Okay, no problem. And listen, I know it's your birthday this weekend, and you're going to probably make a weekend of it, starting probably from Friday morning and ending probably Monday night. So you go and have a good time doing that as well, my friend.
Thank you very much, Gav. Appreciate it, mate.
That's been the FB4 Daily. Liverpool have gone and won in Genk by 4-1. In the other group game, Napoli won 3-2, which puts Napoli on 7 points. It puts us on 6. It puts Red Bull on 3, Genk on 0. So a Napoli win next week and a win for us, is it next week or the week after, would probably close off that group more or less. But that's been it. FB4 Daily. Talk to you again tomorrow night. Over now.